923 days since Richard vanished. I'm sorry. I need to do this over again. I forgot to bring this. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so you can hear me. This is also new, and we don't have this uh, great studio. This is just my little office space, so I hope you can hear me. And move this over. Okay. All right, let's try it again. I want to get this so I don't have to lean so much. Okay, hold on. Thank you for your patience. There we go. Okay, and a little down. Okay, a little this way. Too much. This is also sensitive, all the angles, right? Okay, so hi everybody. Um, this is day 923. 923, and I hope that you can hear me better. Um, it's been amazing, the change. I told Sammy today on a chat, I said, when I spoke with, okay, so 923 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And here I am begging for any kind of media, right? And the media is contacting. Um, and you're kind of taken by surprise, even though you want it, because you have never gotten that kind of attention before. So I want to talk about the media today. They come very quickly, and you really don't know what's going on, and so you try to do your best and how to respond. In our case, I have dealt with so little media in my life that I don't think I've ever been interviewed before Richard went missing. So you don't know the culture of it. You don't know the system. You don't know what to expect. What I expected was mostly some part of it to be honest, some part of it to which, you know, unless it's very, very political, some parts of it are pretty honest. Um, but if it becomes very political, like this case has become very political because of the border um, being there in El Paso and the FBI. I mean, can you imagine people are doubting the father-in-law who is a Palestinian with a record, um, doubting him, which he's probably the most honest. He's been so honest through this. I shouldn't say the most honest. I think the cashier is the most honest through all of this. Um, some other people, but Team Find Richard Halliday, of course, and this father-in-law, that's a businessman. My bell is my clock is going to gong. Okay. Is was very forthright, unlike the CID, unlike the generals. You have to understand, I talked to General McConville by this time. I talked to General Garrett by this time. I talked to Lieutenant General Donna Martin. I talked to Brigadier General David Stewart. I talked to Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. I'm thinking about the other generals that I talked to. And and Rob talked to several people, and they have not been honest. So I haven't really picked on the media too much, because I think they take their cues from uh, the very, very, very powerful military. Okay, our military is very powerful. It has a lot of guns. It has a lot of weapons. It has a lot of vehicles. It has submarines, nuclear submarines. It has nuclear bombs. It has stealth bombers that cost billions of dollars. Um, and they also have something very important. They have the support of the American people, because American people have no idea what is going on, truly, truly. And when you have weapons behind you at your fingertips and an entire military, entire fleets behind you, drones, don't forget the drones, and you have demonstrated that you will drone a wedding, you will be unjust in so many things, um, that, yeah, I think the media takes their cues from the military, and I think Washington, D.C. does what it needs to do to survive. Um, so, what about the military, and why are they so dishonest? So dishonest because they're still covering up the fact that the father in law, who says he's with the FBI, so this makes him, because he's not a special agent. So, what's the other choice? The other choice is that he's an FBI informant. And that makes sense because he does have a record. Okay. And a lot of people that have records, um, well, the FBI approach people that have records for the most part to become FBI informants, because they can say, look, we can shorten your parole, we can shorten your sentence, we can, whatever, if you become an informant, right? So, so it's very, very possible. I mean, it's almost a slam dunk that he's an FBI informant. And he is also the father in law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, Richard's command, but also First Lieutenant Dallas Hart's command, also Leilani Hart's command, also commanded by Major General Clem Coward, who clearly wanted to hurt Richard. Clearly. Okay. Wanted to do something to hurt him. Um, and if you don't know, you can look up the GOMAR. I posted it. You can look up that being made permanent. And you can look up the whole issue with chaptering Richard out. And Richard just doesn't have anything. He's a yellow Interpol. So how can you do something like that? Clearly hurt a soldier, and for really groundless reasons. The GOMAR is really, really badly done. It is so shady, y'all. It is really, um, it's so badly done that it needs to be rescinded, right? It needs to be rescinded. Um, so Richard is a yellow Interpol, and they just don't have anything on him. Nothing. Okay. When you take into consideration the fact that he went over and above and outside the chain of command, because he told me, Mom, the leadership is so bad. I don't want to go. I don't want to go green to gold. No, don't even ask me. Don't even bug me about going green to gold. I don't want to do that. So he did not even want to go because he made E4 so quickly. And I said, and 3 AAMs very quickly. And I said, okay, um, are you hoping to get your E5? I don't even want to be an NCO, Mom. It's really bad. It's really bad, the leadership. And he mentioned Torgensen. And that's why when Torgensen came on, I knew who he was. I knew who John Torgensen was because, uh, sure, I saw his name with, looking through everything, but I knew it because Richard mentioned it to me. And so I was really hopeful. I was like, okay, so maybe John Torgensen, who I believe was um, the squad leader, but Richard mentioned to me he became acting squad leader. So I thought that John would clarify all of that. I thought that he could tell us who that soldier is in the red box that we suspect as hurting Richard. Um, but we would like answers. And there's been a hush on everything because there's a porn problem. There's a retaliation problem. You see, they broadcast the porn. They've turned our military into a porn studio. I kid you not, into a grooming center for porn cults, a grooming center for drug addicts, a grooming center for alcoholics, a grooming center for PTSD and mental health medication, a grooming center for sexual assault, a grooming center, and Elder Fernandez's mother is the one that told me this. Um, that she thought, oh my gosh, they are training them to suicide. So a grooming center for suicide. And who's doing this? Well, where is the gap? Where is the problem? Who's responsible? Who needs to be held accountable? You know, and the military is not a democracy. It comes from, supposed to come from, the commander in chief. But see, we have information that has not been the case for a long time. We have done some research. That's not the case. It comes from foreign and domestic enemies of our country. So that means, because legally, the 44 four-star generals are supposed to take orders from the commander in chief. And they have not been doing that. They have been taking orders from foreign and domestic enemies of this country instead of defending the Constitution. So the problem, those foreign and domestic enemies, I don't think they have a big $1 trillion military at their fingertips. They might have $1 trillion or a Federal Reserve Bank a reserve bank, um, they might have blackmail um, information pieces. They have something because our 44 four-star generals, who the Senate Arms Committee approved their promotion into those positions, which is also um, interesting. But the thing is once you put on that uniform, it's kind of, see, I'm Anglican. And I like to be high church Anglican. I believe in vestments. And when you put on the vestment, it's the priest, okay? It is the acolyte. Um, you are not yourself, okay? You're no longer like by your name. You are a different person in these vestments because you have to represent the organization, the agency, the institution that you are. It's the same, we don't have that so much for the family anymore. But if anybody has watched Life with Father, you have your father's suit, right? You have your father's suit. If you haven't watched Life with Father, you should watch it. It's very interesting. And what your mother would wear, right? Same thing with when the the man who is ordained puts on the vestments, he is the priest. Okay? So no matter what he does, he can't belittle the sacraments, which is astounding. Which is astounding. It's amazing because men and women, when I say men, I'm meaning humans, can really mess up things bad. So this is why these investments are so important. And so in the military, when these men and women put on that uniform and put on that rank, they're no longer James McConville. They are a 4-star general in the United States Army. That's how I look at that. And the same thing with Judge Rodriguez. When he puts on his robe, he's no longer Roger Rodriguez. He is judge. Okay? Municipal magistrate judge. Because that's another thing that I thought, and I've been waiting a day to get, I'm going off on a little tangent here, but I've been waiting a day for KTEP and El Paso Matters, I believe there's another one, to rescind and apologize to Judge Rodriguez for that absolutely irresponsible article that smeared him and interfered with the case of our son, Find Richard Halliday. I asked Angela Kochirga, and I hope I'm saying her name right because I knew I said it wrong yesterday, and I apologize. But I asked her through an email to have it rescinded. And I told her why. The interview that we had, and it wasn't an interview, it was a discussion. And this goes to the beginning of this live stream. And that is, at the beginning, you think that people are going to do what they say in the media, but they don't. They don't. They say they're going to interview you, or they might interview you and it lands in the trash dump, right? Because you might not have the angle that the foreign and domestic enemies want, that run our military, because James McConville is wearing that beautiful uniform with the 4 stars on it, but he doesn't realize he's General McConville. He's still working for James McConville. He's still acting like he's James McConville. And he's a major criminal. One of the worst criminals. He is, along with the 43 4-star generals in our military. And why we have 44, I don't know, because we did World War II with 7 4-star generals, okay? So why we have that many 44, I don't know. But they are absolute criminals that have committed very high crimes. Crimes against humanity, just for the beginning. Just the tip of the iceberg. And this case, this is a criminal case. And I made that very clear to Angela Gocherga of KTEP and El Paso Matters, which is, I think it's an affiliate of NBC. Okay. And I thought that the conversation, they can be real sweet to you while they're throwing darts at you. And so I'm waiting, because in this case, I really think, because Leilani Hart has been mentioned in my live streams since February of 2022. The more we know about her that has been coming in through the hotline 941-677-0060, the less credible. She has no credibility. Okay? Because we're told she has guns. And it's like, where did she get these guns? Because we know other things. And threats, not to us, but to many people very close to her. Very close to her. And yeah. It is just not credible when you have the reputation, when you have the character witnesses that are not in your favor, and that the big one is that we have a report to the CID and the FBI that Leilani Hart colluded, collaborated with, and more with special agent in the CID there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, to gain, he leaked files to her. He leaked files, one being Richard's file. Can you imagine how many soldiers, I would like to know how many soldiers were hurt by that? And we're told that Video has been tampered. And this is not just one person. Video has been tampered with. Audio has been tampered with. And of course, because the CID has withheld information from us. And on so many levels, so much information. And that can only happen by the thumbs up and the green light of 44 four-star generals and admirals. And we were very, one thing that we learned with this article is how that all happened, because February of 2022, I'm driving up to visit my dad. My dad was still alive at that time. And I'm driving up to the hospital where he was at. And I'm in the parking lot and just about to get out. And my phone rings. And I'm told by Judge Rodriguez, this is who I am. This is what I did. I went to the FBI. I went to the authorities and told them that I had information that Special Agent CID Tavita Nusa was leaking files, your son's file, to Leilani Hart. I had never heard those names before. But I was very grateful because I knew there were leaks. I know that there's still leaks because Corinne Adeline West had a leak from the CID there in Quantico from Director Ford in response to Senator Ted Cruz on our son's case a week before we had it. Now, how does that happen? And her daughter teaches flying to Dallas Hart, Leilani Hart's son. How does that happen? And there's more connections. And so one of the positive things that have come out of this article released by Aaron Montes, that was edited by Angela Kocherga, is that we finally understood how Judge Rodriguez, who deserves huge accolades for his courage to report this, okay? And they didn't mention that, just like never has the media mentioned that Richard is the Distinguished Honor Graduate for his cycle in basic training in AIT. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. They do not hesitate to smear the missing soldier, and yet they cannot bring themselves to say an accolade. Richard received $500 as an award for that. And that he was a whistleblower. That he was a whistleblower, y'all. See something, say something. So we understood how Judge Rodriguez received the information because of the very, very close relationship that Tavita Nusa had with Leilani Hart and being part of the Combined Veterans Association that Judge Rodriguez volunteered to be in and heard things and had close contact with this information. And because that makes sense. That makes sense now. So we're very grateful for to Aaron Montes for that, but he needs to rescind it because he doesn't put in the accolades. He doesn't tell the whole story. If the police were not called and there was no forensics done on that hole in the wall, you cannot put a story out there that suggests that a judge wearing a robe, you have to understand, a judge, now he wasn't wearing a robe at the time, but that a judge um, attempted murder on Leilani Hart when she's not credible at all. So, and it seems to be, uh, I don't think she was too happy with Judge Rodriguez for a year ago reporting that she was receiving the leaks from the CID, at which, it's like I knew there were leaks because Hema Socho got it. So are they friends? Are they all friends? Is Hema Socho and First Sergeant Michael Ruggiero, because they're married, okay? And we knew she was getting leaks. So did Tavita Nusa leak to Leilani Hart? And who was getting all the leaks? Because look, Hema Socho had leaks. This should have been, this live stream should have been leaks, right? Hema Socho had leaks in 2020. Then you have the leaks in 2022 coming out, being revealed, and still a leak. Still leaks. Okay. So, tampered video, tampered file, missing video. We know these things because there's leaks. And wow. We're very, very grateful to Judge Rodriguez for helping us. And this is over and over, I bet you 5 times, maybe 6 times. I was not the mother of a missing soldier to, in my opinion, a few times in this discussion with Angela Kocherga. I think she forgot that I have a missing soldier son because she was trying to needle me and kept on asking, is Judge Rodriguez helping you? And I'm like, what do you mean? He has helped us immensely with that FBI and CID to the authorities that Special Agent CID Tavita Nusa leaked to Leilani Hart, who you are making credible, who is not credible, because you edited Aaron Montez's article. So what's going on here that you're trying to needle me? You don't understand because you're very smart. She's very smart, Angela Kocherga. And I think I need to do an FCC complaint. I'm waiting to the end of the day, but I really need to do an FCC complaint because, when you have a missing soldier, you need help. And for Judge Rodriguez to hear what he heard and to go to the authorities and report that was a good thing. And she's thinking it's not a good thing. She doesn't want to say that Judge Rodriguez did something good. You see, she can't bring herself to give him accolades, just like the reporting and the military when it came to Richard. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes. Um, just like they couldn't say that he was a distinguished honor graduate for his cycle in basic training and AIT. And I even saw yesterday or this morning, it was maybe yesterday, today, I can't remember, on Twitter, this veteran saying, "Oh yeah, well that doesn't matter. Once he got to his situation, um, he went bad. Did he know him? He needs to call me. How can you say something like that about a missing soldier? Who have you talked to? Are you listening to the senior leader that was sent to the military police guard mount because he's a total criminal, and I'd like to know who he is. Spreading false and groundless smears on my son who's missing, who cannot answer for himself. It's like stabbing someone in the back. Totally stabbing someone in the back. Because we have information that Richard was trying to expose many for child sex trafficking. That's why he went over and above and beyond the chain of command that was very, very bad. Major General Clem Coward. And made his complaint because he couldn't go to his leadership because they were unapproachable, because they were not good. And that's what we believe triggered the IG, because we haven't gotten our FOIAs answered. So it's like, why were the IG all over the barracks? Because of Halliday. We've had that from numerous people. Why? And now we know from Mr. Colonel Dog, who, liked to rear puppies in his sex doggy puppy cult, and show his erection in his uniform, not his uniform, our uniform, in our buildings, our gymnasiums, our military installations. He has forgot who he is in that uniform. And he didn't do it just once. And there was a group of them, a large group of this sex porn cult, on top of the illegal drug marketplace, on top of the alcohol flowing like crazy and the frat party every day, on top of bringing girls into the barracks during COVID, on top of the barracks being flushed with weapons, on top of our sons and daughters being raped in their barracks, on top of being our sons and daughters being bludgeoned to death in the armory on our installation, our armory, with hammers, and on top of being cut up and stuffed in a hole in the ground, on top of being sexually harassed, on top of being groomed to be have mental health problems like PTSD, on top of having your good spirit taken from you, on top of being on medication, just to make it through, on top of being retaliated by unjust, groundless, weaponized GOMARs and Article 15s. And you think, as American people, that our military right now, under these 44 four-star criminals, absolute criminals that have weaponized their power against our volunteers, our volunteer service members in our military, and have weaponized our whole military to serve foreign and domestic enemies instead of defending our Constitution, And I kid you not. You think they're going to um, win any war? The sad thing is every one of our service members that are in, because of the porn, because of the drugs, because of the alcohol, because of the mental state, because of our economy, because of the retaliation, they will march. It's the biggest, uh, oldest psychological, physical maneuvering to control a military in history. And that's why I've always thought that Oliver Cromwell was so interesting, because Oliver Cromwell didn't need any of those things to get his army to be victorious. And nations throughout history have studied him. They want to replicate what he did. Of course, they bash him. They bash him. But let me tell you, after that first battle that he lost, he never lost another one. And he had his soldiers employed within weeks after they returned and disbanded from any military engagement. That history is amazing. But we have smart service members are getting out. I've been notified that service members that want to retire are given a hard time right now. So you can correct me on that. And I'm not the only one saying this. I think that Angela Kocherga, who is award winning, y'all, she's an amazing woman. She has an amazing CV. I looked her up. She forgot she was talking to a mother of a missing soldier son, though. She did. She was very sweet, but there were moments in there that she completely forgot, because I don't know, there's something going on with Judge Rodriguez. And I was thinking, is he running for office? I haven't heard. But if he was like running for DA, this would kind of make sense. I don't think they want him as DA. Um, but so her mission to destroy his reputation is more of a priority than finding the first CONUS Dust 1 missing soldier in U.S. Army history under the new Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flowchart. And that's not right. That's not right. Because that article hurts, interferes with our son's case. And so, if she wanted all the information from me about, or from Team Find Richard Halliday, about what is going on, what we have found out in this case, especially about Leilani Hart, because she's not credible, and she could do a story on that to help find Richard, then that would be the right thing to do. But, and if Judge Rodriguez, if that article would be substantiated with forensics and police, which it is not. then that would be a whole different matter. But this is a character assassination attempt. You cannot just post an article cleverly edited to, make this assumption that he attempted murder in the house of Leilani Hart. On Leilani Hart. Attempted murder. Attempted murder on Leilani Hart. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That is pretty bad. So, yeah, I think that the FCC needs to know. So I was hoping that she would understand our position and put her priorities right until she got more information. Write a new article then, right? Um, but right now, that was that was sloppy work, very sloppy work for her caliber. I can tell you that because she told me she edited it. I thought that was sloppy work, and who am I? Because I've never been an editor. I don't know. I don't know. But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, it was sloppy work because I dissected it with my husband. We dissected the whole article because it interferes in our son's case. So, um, and when I lay into the 44 four-star generals, it's not just off the hand. You have to understand my husband is a 30-year veteran, lieutenant colonel, from E3 to E4, E5, E6 to warrant officer to captain major, um, lieutenant colonel. So he has seen a lot of ranks, a lot of positions, 30 years, and I have to tell you the truth about me. I have always supported the Army. Always. Go Army. What did Richard write on that letter to Omi and Opie, my parents? He drew on the second page, Go Army. That's because we always supported the Army. Be it dressed as a clown to help the deployed service members when they come back to have some joy with their family and to bring some happiness to their children and give their, if it was to make care packages with lots of shoe boxes. Then they got fancy. But at the beginning, it was just shoe boxes. See, I'm talking about Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Albania, Kosovo. Geez, I'm trying to think of all the things. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Afghanistan, all of that. That they lied to us about. But yeah. So we're not coming from like this outside. We don't support the military. We always have. And every one of those service members, all of those volunteers, including those first sergeants that have been so ugly, including Richard's unit, who has been silenced, even John Torgensen, I would have sent all of them a care package. I would have supported them. I do support them. There are service members, and they have been treated very badly. They have been groomed very badly. They don't show evidence of training in the Medal of Honor ethos. Matter of fact, I think it was the first sergeant that said, "What is the Medal of Honor ethos?" He didn't even know. I think it was him. Um, I think. Don't take my word for it. It was somebody. I think it was the first sergeant. Yeah. What is she talking about? The Medal of Honor ethos. They haven't showed evidence in esprit de corps. Um, I've got your six. Leave no soldier behind. They have not showed that. And where you see it the most is in Austin Hawke's case, which pray for Julie because she's there in Georgia now, Fort Stewart, Savannah, Georgia, at the sentencing of the murderer that murdered, brutally murdered her son in his barracks room, let in by the CQ after colluding for months because he was a sergeant after he was put out, and let in during the COVID to slaughter her son. And she was given parameters for her speech and instructions that she wasn't supposed to look at him, uh, that she couldn't cuss. Let me tell you what, I told her, as the mother of Austin Hawke, they shouldn't put one parameter on your speech. You should be able to look at him right in his eye. 39 stab wounds just to the head. A whistleblower. And the 44 four-star generals laid out the entire environment for that to happen. They have blood on their hands. Absolutely. Absolutely. And to put parameters. So say prayer for her. I've been thinking about her a lot. I can't even imagine what her body's going through. Because your brain and your body, two different things in this. Two different things. So, that case where not one soldier demonstrated, no soldier left behind, I'm your battle buddy, I've got your six, esprit de corps, Medal of Honor ethos, not one of them in that bloody, bloody battle in the barracks. Not one. That is not demonstrating correct training. That is setting up our service members for failure, for violent crimes, for mental destruction, physical destruction, and of others. And I put every bit of the blame on our 44 four-star monsters that are in those beautiful uniforms with the 4 stars. And they need to be investigated. They need to be audited. That's how I feel. Will that happen? I'm just a little person. And I want to find my son. And these monsters absolutely could click heels together right now, free up the tongues of those involved in this and around this and that knows something about this, and find my son and tell us the truth. And also, it is a huge, and probably the possible answer, is that the FBI found the remains of Richard in Juarez, Mexico, in uniform, taken over there through connections with border entries, um, possibly with a horse trailer. But the FBI were indeed, because the Department of State told us, looking for the remains of Halliday in Juarez, Mexico. So, of course, this is political now. But I think our service members have priority. And I don't think Julie will mind me saying this. She's heard me say this. The 44 four-star generals and admirals have kicked every service members right in the teeth and the gut when they made a plea deal with the murderers of Austin Hawk. They kicked them all in the gut. They did not have their service members' well-being, mental well-being, esprit de corps in mind at all. They did not want this to be made an example of. They did not want the death penalty. They kicked every one of those service members right in the gut, right in the face. That's how I feel about it when they made that plea deal. And what is an esteemed reporter, journalist, director, editor, producer? I don't know what all she does. Angela Kocherga worry about? Pleasing whoever wants to smear Judge Rodriguez. All of this other stuff going on. Yeah. It tells you something about the media. They are led. Don't forget, the media had to call the military every time they interviewed us to get their point of view. I think they got the marching orders. That's how I feel about it. Same thing with Veronica Escobar. Uh, don't forget the Pentagon is in Virginia, not in D.C. That's important. And it's not just me saying it. So I'm going to end with this. Let's see if I can. I'm going to end with this, if you can see it. This is amazing. This is amazing. It's not just me. It's just not me. Because who am I? Who am I? Okay, so desktop audio. Turn that on. Get this over. Get the display. Here we go. There. And get that like that. Yep. I'm getting there. Let's see. Is it going to load? Oh, don't tell me it won't load. Have you all seen this? Maybe I can reload this up here. There it goes.
and Sable Ratter with another nuclear power, right? This is what we were supposed to be afraid of was going to happen with Donald Trump, right? We couldn't have, he's a crazy man who's going to have his finger on the nuclear button. And now we have Demented Joe, who is saber rattling with 2 nuclear powers, and they get the corporate media sponsored by the military industrial complex to get Americans to cheer it on. And why do Americans cheer it on? Because they have no idea what's actually happening with their foreign policy. And what's worse is they have no idea that they have no idea that they don't have any idea what's happening with their foreign policy. We have 400 military bases surrounding China since the Korean War. Do we really think that China is getting ready to invade the United States? Because I tell you, they're not. They make everything we use in the United States. Why? Because the same people who want this war are the same people who took the good jobs that are manufacturing jobs in America, turned them into low-paying, crappy jobs, and then shipped them to China. And then we get angry at them for the system that we set up. If they're so corrupt, because that's the thing. Americans have no idea how corrupt their government is. They think our government's just regular corrupt, like, oh, Trump gave his son a job or Biden gave his kid a no-show job in the Ukraine war. That's not, the whole thing is corrupt. The $800 billion military budget is $800 billion of corruption. Why do we have to have 900 military bases around? We're the ones provoking this war, just like we provoked the war in Ukraine. We are now provoking a war with China. And who benefits? I'll tell you right now, your enemy is not China. Your enemy is not Russia. Your enemy is the military-industrial complex, which has been fleecing this country to the tunes of hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars. How many times are we going to have a defense secretary say, hey, we can't account for $2 trillion in the Pentagon again? Which has happened twice now in my lifetime. So, again, people are being, the war machine cannot be stopped. Who's running this country? The war machine. It certainly isn't Joe Biden making these decisions. I would like to know who is making the decisions. And I just want to remind everybody, the United States is the world's terrorist. We just set the Middle East on fire in the last 20 years, and now we're doing a proxy war in Ukraine, which we provoked, NATO provoked, and it was just admitted that we provoked it by the former Prime Minister of Germany. And now we're trying to saber rattle with China, and they're predicting a war. Again, China's not going to invade us. China's not our enemy. We might have an economic war. That's what these are. These are economic wars. These are wars in Ukraine. It's about liquefied natural gas and making sure Germany and Russia never come together because we fear Russia's natural resources and manpower, and we fear them getting together with Germany with their technology and their capital. And so that's why we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. That's why we're doing the Ukraine war. This is all about hegemony, imperialism, and economics. And if there's a Marine somewhere, it's there because they're about to steal some natural resources from another country. As everybody's screaming about what a bad guy Putin is for invading Ukraine, the United States is currently occupying a third of Syria. And which third is that? It's the third that has the oil. And how do I know we're there to steal their oil? Because the President of the United States said so.
And we're not even benefiting economically.
Right. And that meant a lot to me because, and I have your questions right here. I went to Facebook while we were listening. But that meant a lot to me because Richard lived, let me turn this off now. Richard lived in Germany and Ireland. And Germany, if you don't know this, is a manufacturing country. And it's small. And it makes you wonder, why can't we be a manufacturing company? We have so much more land. We're huge. And we have able-bodied people that need jobs. And Germany is amazing. It's the only one that can compete with China in manufacturing. And so what he was saying was right on, because you get Russia and Germany together. Wowzer. And one thing we've learned is they like monopolies, these foreign and domestic enemies. They don't like competition. So this is not, it is not what it seems. It's like that video I made on TikTok. It is not what they're telling us at all. And who is running the military industrial complex. Well, we have 44 four-star generals and admirals that can make all the difference if they only defended the Constitution. But they're not doing that. They're not using their power for good. They are absolute demon criminals. Um, so that's why I say they need to be investigated and they need to be audited. And if General McConville calls me and tries to explain to me um, why he committed crimes against humanity, just for starters, and why he staged a task force, Find Richard Halliday, out of uniform without an op board and no task force leader, to sabotage the search for my son, which is absolutely criminal. And what about our liaison? And what about the uh, criminal senior leader that went to the military police guard mount to uh, sabotage with the military police the search for my son with a groundless smear campaign? And much more that happened. Much more. I mean, one crime, devious, demonic crime after the other. So, why doesn't someone with the talent of Kochirga want to do that? Want to cover that? Because she doesn't have the power that these 44 four-star generals do. She has something to be afraid of. But they have our entire $1 trillion military behind them. So that's why I'm much tougher on them than I even am on Leilani Hart. Because Leilani Hart should be investigated a long time ago, and we would have answers by now. So let me go to your questions. Danielle, thank you so much. The fifth grader could have wrote a better report, in my opinion. I know. I think Aaron Montes, when we dissected it, it was like, wow, this is bad. This is embarrassing. And I hope that Judge Rodriguez somehow has a way to respond legally. I really do. I used to send care packages to troops in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. Yeah, they have our support, you know, and it's slowly because the families are sick and tired of seeing their beautiful sons and daughters go in and come out basket cases or in a box, like Asia Graham's mother tells me. Nicole tells me I gave them my beautiful daughter and I got her back in a box. For what? For what? You know, it wasn't like for honor and glory. It was because they told her to shut up when she was raped. She had nobody to have her six. Nobody had her six. There was no esprit de corps. There was no Medal of Honor ethos. And that was under Clem Coward too. Major General Clem Coward. Her rape. So you have Leilani Hart under Clem Coward. You have Dallas Hart under Clem Coward. You have Richard Halliday under Clem Coward. And you have Asia Graham under Major General Clem Coward. What's going on? Right? Is it me that the connection is cut out? I don't know. Escobar lied to Congress today with her other criminal, Samanog, whatever. Escobar, you know, and she's powerful. Oh my gosh. She's so criminal. Very nice dream. Good use of OBS. Thank you. I keep posting, and Richard's flyer is here. Oh yeah, to the moon and back you do it. I am posting crazy to get him out there everywhere, and it's helping because I'm seeing numbers. I'm seeing the numbers rise. I don't know if it's since um, um, Twitter was freed or what, but Kat, I think it's because of you. You're reaching out, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, really. Um, yeah, exactly. Okay. So thank you so much, everybody. And yeah, Shane, um, once once I get started, um, once I learn this, I could do some other presentations um, that will be something that will be much different than something sad like this, something criminal like this. Well, it is, oh, whatever, but that would be more for homeschooling, and I look forward to that. And I'm going to try to start that. But the news cycle is going so fast right now, and I'm getting sent so many things. Maybe, yeah, I have to think about that. Um, that I've just been doing a lot of Find Richard Halliday because this is big. This is really big. We're we have found out so much more information just in the last week. Um, so I don't know how long it's going to take until this breaks, but I can tell you this: it will break because we have it. We have it, and you know, can you imagine what we will find out? That gosh. So thank you, everyone. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye. And I will be back tomorrow.